we'll get there coming up at 7 o'clock. We knew this was going to explode, and sure enough, we were right about that.
Here's what's next on the Stansberry Show.
Okay, so the opening of the show, I just gave you two things. Look, I was dead right. Look how right I am. Oh my God, so smart. I get it all right. I made a prediction on this very show.
What you got in there?
And I mean 100% dead ass wrong about it.
So that is that are the apron.
Examine it next here on Rock 106.
I'm gonna show
back
to
the program. 9 a.m. is when
if they
you
like
rock
it.
the bank and grab your $1,000 keyword.
My body is really exhausted always.
Everything getting more expensive by the day. There's a little bite out here for you. 9 a.m. Rock the bank. All right, often on the program, I'll tell you and remind you that you can weigh in on the subject matter by texting the program, that at 330-450-7625. One of the other cool things this company has adopted is the microphone talkback button on iHeartRadio. A lot of people listen on it. Big wait. And there's I believe it's a red microphone button. And if you just press it, it will send whatever you record, it'll send straight to the studio. And so, those will come in quite often. And, sometimes you'll be like, oh, that's a really good point. I didn't think of that. All right, get that one on the air. That guy's making a really good point. Let's talk about it. That'll help me extend the conversation. I like that. I enjoy it. Not everything that comes in there is helpful.
That is Mr. Tomas.
like any other comment section or message.
Is that the one that the guy gives you a ride to work?
Sometimes not. Sometimes Mr. Mike, Mr. Todd, Mr. Tom. That's Tom.
Well, it was in his pocket and he started grabbing into the thing, and I had that audio.
Three women.
This is coming off my microphone talkback button section. I don't know what the hell the guy is talking about, but he seems to be pretty excited about it. Let's take a listen to this.
I'm just thinking, sweetheart, you cannot save money every time they want you to try.
We're watching Black Hawk Down and try not to finish for 4 hours.
Is Black Hawk Down that long? Is that movie that? I mean, I've seen it, but I don't remember.
It'll actually be really easy. It's a sad movie. Just try not to say black.
Why is smell gas? Why is smell?
It's rubber from someone's tire up in front of us.
Not from us?
No, it's not from us. We'd know it. We'd hear grinding or...
This one is a little bit black. This car. Did you see it? The one is not balanced.
That one I enjoy. Feel free to weigh in on anything.
Up in front of us.
Yeah, this car at the side.
It might be that thing up there too. That's
I can be obnoxious, right?
like a tar machine they used to patch the road.
I have been proven right. Oh my God, that might be the day. It's like, all right, let's find out what Rover's doing. Right? Like, that might be one of those days. Like, he's gonna be obnoxious as hell today. Can't even stomach him today, right?
They
can
both
get a
kind of
little guilty
smell
of that.
similar.
Like, oh, I was right.
Tire.
Let's victory lap around a little bit. I'm a fan of it. Now I have said,
big dog.
because I enjoy that as much as I do, one of the things I should do.
I saw the bigger than that.
Is tell you when I got it wrong.
It's a St. Bernard.
Now, I don't always victory lap when I got it right, and so I probably haven't exposed every time I've gotten it wrong either. I believe you get a healthy dose of both. At least that's the effort that I try to put forth. I mention it because I got something, and I mean dead ass wrong. Dead wrong. Could not have been more wrong. And I thought for sure I was right. As a matter of fact, I think I remember saying things like, this is going to happen for sure. We know how this works. Come on. I was out there like that on this subject. Now, luckily for me and you, the subject matter not all that serious. But I did make a prediction about entertainment that was dead wrong.
I love you.
First, I guess we'd have to go back to the original prediction. It's like, yeah, the movie theater, I think it's over. Turns out, no. Got a little over my skis on that one, right? Got a little crazy with that one, although box office sales are back now into where it's like, it ain't great. That could be about the movies they're making, not necessarily the fact that they're asking you to go to the theater to see. As a matter of fact, this Friday, I think there's a movie coming out that's going to pack people into the theater. Maybe I'll be wrong about that. But that movie is where I made my prediction. And I was wrong about that. We have a reboot. I don't believe this is a sequel. I think this is essentially a reboot coming out Friday. They're redoing a 90s, what people will call a classic. Twister was that movie. I believe Bill Paxton and Helen Hunt were in that. Philip Seymour Hoffman was in that movie, by the way. A little early on in his career before he became what Philip Seymour Hoffman ended up becoming before losing his life. He was in that movie. People love Twister. Like, love it. It's considered to be one of those 90s movies that's kind of like Sacred Ground. When they announced they were doing this, people were upset about it initially. And so I watched Twister on Sunday night. Because I think I'm going to go to the theater to see this reboot. I think I am going to do it. So I watched Twister on Sunday. I was like, okay, let me see. How much of this doesn't hold up today and how much of this is this? It's still a good idea for a movie. There were decent performances in it. But it's a little, dare I say, overrated, the way people talk about it, you know? Big in its time. The special effects today don't look great, like they don't, but welcome to it, right? I just watched, well, not just, but during COVID, I watched, you know, the Indiana Jones movies again. It looks like bad Photoshop, the action in those movies. But the movies are still good because the story's good, the writing's good, the performances are good. So it's like, all right, I can forgive this 30-second action scene that looks like bad Photoshop because I understand what I'm dealing with, right? Still a good movie. Back to the Future, a very similar thing. It's like some of it is like, oh, well, it doesn't hold up because the tech is so much better now. But it's still a blast ride of a movie. So fun, that movie, right? And I still enjoyed watching Twisters. But I didn't think it was like, oh, you can't touch this. You can't redo. Like, Back to the Future feels like, don't do that. Don't put it down. Don't touch it, right? Like, that feels like that. I don't think Twisters is that movie. We also, yesterday, played you a song off the soundtrack. Ain't in Kansas anymore, little Miranda Lambert. But here's the prediction I made. This song ended up growing on me a little bit. I kind of like this one. But the prediction I made about Twisters was what? I said, get ready. You think they're going to bring this out and they're not going to preach to you for 2 hours? You honestly believe they're bringing out another movie about the weather, about tornadoes ripping through towns, and they're not for 35 minutes going to sit you down and tell you how it's your fault because of this or because of that or because of climate change or, oh my God, we got to turn it around. We got to do this. I thought for sure that's what they were going to do. Now, why did I think that? Well, because Hollywood got a little carried away with being a little too message-oriented. I'm going to pin in that because we're getting back to that statement here in a second. Chung said, nope, we don't talk about climate change in this movie at all. Quote, I just wanted to make sure that with the new movie, we don't ever feel like it's putting forward any type of message, he had told CNN. Quote, I just don't feel like films are meant to be message-oriented. So back to my statement prior. Well, I would disagree with that. I think art is sometimes, I don't think it has to, I think good art sometimes does push conversation down the road. Does bring about the, oh, I don't know if I love that. Well, here, maybe it's not so bad because of this. And it does, it's thought-provoking, art should be. Now, is every movie that comes out art? Fair. Fair. They're all artistic endeavors, I would say that. I'm not sure they all end up being like, all right. But who's deciding what is art? You know what I mean? So I would disagree with him there. that movies shouldn't have messaging. I think you need to be careful these days about what that messaging is and how much of the movie is about it. I would agree with that. I'm not so sure that movies should not be message-oriented. Now, I was dead wrong here. I thought for sure they were going to take this opportunity to be like, well, we know you love this movie, but watch now as we make the 2024 version that you cannot stand. But maybe what it is that the director understands. Climate change doesn't give you tornadoes. We all know what does.
We didn't have tornadoes here until we started putting into traffic circles. Because on the count of, you want to know why? That when people go round and round in circles, it causes disturbance in the atmosphere and causes tornadoes.
I saw this yesterday, and I'm not all that surprised by it. The television landscape has been shaken up more than a few times, and it's only going to be a little bit crazier over the next couple of years, I would imagine. But this divorce between Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharp has not gone well for Skip Bayless. Now, I'm not necessarily surprised. I'm really not. A phrase that gets overused is hot take, right? And what's happened here is this. Like, sometimes people will say this to me, you're a hot take artist, right? And when I go back and I look at what we were talking about, I'll end up starting the conversation with somebody and I'll say, well, wait a minute, is this really a hot take, or is this what happened? I said something I believe, you disagree with it, you think it's crazy, so then in your mind you refuse to believe that
her boyfriend,
and then now I'm a hot take. Right? I think that's sometimes what happens. But people just say, I think what people are saying is, I'm disagreeing while calling somebody else a hot take. Not even just me. Like, my favorite radio host in the history of this business is a guy named Dan Patrick, who's still on the air every day. He starts the show before mine is over for crying out loud. Bar none, he's got the best radio show in the country. He's got the best staff. That show is a well-oiled machine. They're great at it. There are times where people will call Dan Patrick a hot take artist. I completely disagree. As a radio host, I find myself listening to Dan later on in the evening after we're both done with our shows, and I find myself walking through my house going, oh, get off the damn fence and give me an opinion! So I don't think he's a hot take artist at all. Now, Colin Cowherd, a lot of you think he's a hot take artist. Well, I would disagree. Colin and I view the world very similarly in certain things, and so I'm like, no, that's what I think too. And I see people say, you don't even believe that you just said it. It's like, no, that's what I think too. Now, I think he dips his toes into it more often than Dan Patrick does. Now, Skip Bayless, I believe, is a hot take artist. And I think that's why he's suffering. You have to argue.
I think that is the word that I'm asking if we hear that.
Where a lot of broadcasting,
what?
No, it ain't.
What they've decided to do is this, is like, no, because then one of you has to be crazy and say Tom Brady wasn't any good. So, like, let's not do that. You guys can agree on the subject, find a way to talk about things you disagree inside of it, or at the bare minimum, you have two different points than he has. You don't need to scream at each other anymore. You don't need to disagree. Skip is still playing that old game. And the universe has shifted. Audiences' BS meters are sharper than ever before, and they've always been sharper than this industry ever gave them credit for being. That's just the reality. Skip is very rigid. This happens to people as you age sometimes. You're stuck in your ways. You've been the thing forever. You know better than everybody else. And what's happened, I believe, is this. He once upon a time knew better than everybody else. Now, he may be better served listening to some advice from some other people. And yes, dare I say younger people. Yes, he would maybe be better off with you. Skip Bayless, I believe, goes on the air and says things he does not believe in the hopes that you are going to then overreact to it. It's been a very successful business model. I think we're seeing it shift in real time. I don't think that's what people necessarily want anymore, that he's willing to say it. I'll say it differently. People ask me all the time, how do you say what you say on the air without getting in more trouble? And this is the answer I've always given everybody. If they believe you believe it, you're normally not in trouble for it. Most people complain and want to see you get your comeuppance if they're flipping through the stations and they believe he's just trying to get the rating. He doesn't believe this. He doesn't believe this is dangerous. He's doing it. That's when you're in trouble. If you say something outlandish and people believe that's your position, more often than not, you are going to get away with that with your audience. And maybe even people who aren't your audience.
Well, they're going there too.
If you're pretending to be something, if you're faking it and they can smell through that is when people
feel.
That's when they start to know what they're doing.
Hope you get there
Ever
first.
notice the comedian doesn't look like he's apologizing from the stage ever after he says something. You know why? Setting the tone of the first 10 rows in the audience. I feel very confident about what I just said. Why do you feel like that? If they smell fear in your voice, okay, it's over, they coming after you because they can sense the weakness. Skip does not come off as authentic because saying LeBron's not very good isn't very smart. The rest of us have eyes and ears. Trying to tell people LeBron James isn't good is ridiculous. Being a Cowboys fan, no matter what, they're going to win Sunday when you know they're not going to, but you're riding with them boys because you're Skip Bayless. That's when the audiences are like, no, why would I trust you for anything? You don't believe any of this. And I think that's why what I'm saying here could happen to Dave Portman. Except for the biggest hot take artist I have ever seen. Dave Portnoy is amazing, and he's amazing. Very few people understand the algorithm better than he does. He understands it. But that guy, every day I will see his videos online and he doesn't believe what he's saying here, but he knows it's good content. Welcome back to the program. You do have that microphone talk back button at your disposal. There's also the text line at 330-450-7625. All right, here we go. Apparently, the story of the day is Jack Black and Kyle Gass. For anybody who is unaware, they make up Tenacious D. Pick of Destiny was a pretty good movie. Outside of that, I don't know how much Tenacious D I really need, but okay. They seem to be pretty popular. They were touring, as a matter of fact.
No traps.
At one of their most recent shows, I believe Sunday
the sign there.
was,
No
and I believe they were in
No
Australia
traps.
when this happened. It happened to be Kyle Gass's birthday, and
Yesterday on my way home.
So everybody else on the stage, let's sing Kyle happy birthday. Let's bring out a cake
up
and
here
pretend he's
around
going
the
to eat it.
bend.
Let's do all of that.
There's like
And
15
then,
to 20
well,
deer.
This
Deer?
Deer.
Oh, dear. Oh my goodness.
I wanted to stop and take a picture, but I didn't get out of work till late. And, I was trying to get home so I could get that stuff for Dad and Dave. So I knew it wasn't going to be long after I got over there that you were going to be calling.
crowd seems to like it. Crowd seems to be they seem to be fans.
Yeah, there was a bunch of them. And they were just like scattered all over the hillside.
Here?
No,
Other
I believe
side?
that's Jack Black who says
they'll be
thank you.
coming up here.
Now, I believe he's saying thank you to, they had a gigantic metal robot walking back and forth on the stage. I don't know Tenacious D well enough to know what that is. It's probably like a mock-up of Eddie from Iron Maiden. I could be wrong. It's kind of one of those things. I think he was saying thank you to the robot for bringing out the cake. Other people think Jack Black was saying thank you to Kyle Gass for saying the joke. I think how you want to see it will depend on how you, or will depict rather, how you see it.
It was up in there.
And also have what's this called?
Now this did not have a whole lot to do with the subject matter, but I left it
And I
in
think
for a
it is
reason.
have still.
Those were wild turkeys. But yeah,
And
they
the
were.
reason I left this
think,
much audio after the part everybody's
there,
upset
yeah,
about was there was no attempt whatsoever from the stage to be like, all right, we need to clean this up. Oh my God, we're screwing around, or this. There was none of that. Now, for
my
anybody
goodness, you're a
who's
raccoon.
confused about what I'm saying here. I'm not saying there should have been. I'm just saying that's the fact
Stop all the cars
of the case.
here.
Is that not the case? That's the fact of the story. Is that they did not clean it up on the stage. Did not happen. There was no attempt to try to walk it back. None. We can agree that, right? Okay. Well, Tenacious D now has canceled the remainder of their tour. Now, I would guess what's happening there is venues started to cancel on them. And so they were like, oh no, we got to back out of this. Let's get out of this tour. That would be the assumption. I'm not sure Tenacious D diehards are going to get that upset about, I'm going to use the word joke here. Other people are not going to be happy
When
with
they
me
gonna
using
finish
that
the
word about
road?
it. He's not joking. And there's a lot to unpack in this story. We're going to have this conversation multiple times this morning. So let's get to that part.
It'll be
first.
next month sometime.
Yeah, we'll get to the apologies and all the fake
Is this
PR
the only
madness
way?
and the BS lies. We'll get up to that. But let's talk about the joke part first. People will always say, oh no, as soon as you get in trouble, you want to turn around and claim that you're joking. And that is true. Sometimes people will use that as cover. I'm going to remind everybody this was a performance on a stage where they are being comedic by nature. Yes, there's songs and there's this and there's that. It was a performance, first and foremost. But this is normally associated with the left yelling at the right. It's not a joke. You're just saying it's a joke because you got caught. And for 10 years, I've heard that be the thing. And now all of a sudden, everybody's like, dude, he's just screwing around. You got caught, is what happened. You thought this was going to land differently. It hasn't. And now all of a sudden, you're in a little bit of trouble. All of that is true. My problem with it is this. God, you can't say anything anymore. Everybody's so sensitive. Oh my God, you can't say anything anymore. And now people are furious. He said, don't miss him next time. There was a time in this country where hate the opposition, don't want to see him win, blah, 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 but we had a standard of, dude, you don't do certain things. There's decorum here. Can we not pretend we're those people anymore? We're not! And we haven't been for a while. You honestly are shocked people feel this way about either one of these dudes right now? Do I agree with what everything Kyle Gass said? Forget what he said. Do I agree with everything everybody says? No! We used to have this, though. I disagree with everything you say. But I would fight with my life to protect your right to be able to say. Remember that? Now, I get it's accountability culture, right? It ain't cancel culture. By the way, I've already seen an article today, I think it was at People, that says cancel culture is only real for libs. No, it isn't. No, it isn't. This Tenacious D story is going to go the exact same way that Louis C.K. went. Oh my God, crush the pearls. Oh yeah, crush the pearls. Oh yeah. Sold out Madison Square Garden a year later. We all know how this is going to go. They're going to come back bigger than ever. They were selling out venues before, not stadiums, but they were selling out venues before. You know why? Because people like their shtick and they like what they do. They're the stinky kid in the back of the classroom right now, but the next month there'll be another stinky kid. And it will come off of you. Now, I kind of poked fun at the, gee, you can't say anything anymore, now watch them get mad about the fact that something got said. I poked fun at that, didn't I? Yes, I did. So let's flip that coin over. You know they're just mocking the people who always go overboard about how you can't say anything. What's good for the goose is essentially what they're doing.
Yeah.
That's what they're doing. And as we've always said, when you point a finger out, how many are pointing back at you? Gotta be careful with accusations. Right? And that's kind of what's happening here. Is it really that big of a deal he said it? I've never understood why the president in this manner, and by the way, the guy's not currently president. I've never understood this. Like, I get why if I say, I'm going to kill the president, why the Secret Service is like, yo, we got to swing by Stansbury's and see what's up with this. Like, at least knock on the door, Holmes. Like, we got to figure out what's happening here. I get that. I've never understood why the president is, like, levitating above the rest of us as, like, this person who can't be mocked or criticized or any of these things. Which, of course, isn't really true. SNL's made fun of the president, or at least, they're back to messing with Biden now. But, the safe cover, Jon Stewart's making fun of him now. We better not miss the boat, right? And so, like, that's kind of what's happening there. But there have been satirists about the political structure in this country forever. Forever. Do I believe Kyle Gass was joking? No. I think this is what he thinks. I think this is what Jack Black behind closed doors thinks. I'm just not that upset he thinks it. I'm not even all that upset he said it. I have said it this way on the air before. I understand why people think there's things you should not say. Once we get to can't say it, now I'm standing arms folded. Why? And it makes me want to dig my heels in. Now, I have a problem with authority. You know what I mean? So, like, that's maybe what that is right there. I don't like being told what to do. You know what I mean? I don't like that. Broadcasters, creatives, we don't like that. Look at what happened on MSNBC the other day with Morning Joe. They threatened to quit if they yanked him off there again. By the way, everybody's yelling at them and calling them crybaby sissies. 20 years ago, if a network yanked the show off the air because they were afraid of what was going to get said in that booth, and those people threatened to quit, you would have lifted them up on your shoulders and talked about how they were heroes. But they're the opposition today, so we have to hate them no matter what they're doing. When I saw that, I was like, good, threaten to quit. That's what you should do. That's what you should do. They're going to yank you off the most important day. I'm getting a little sidetracked on Morning Joe now. But, like, at the end of the day, like, as a broadcaster, I saw that. I was like, good for him. Like, dude, and I know, the employee threatening the boss, how's that work out? Well,
but I like the one that the Jerry's
you and I. You know what I mean? If I lose this job, it's like, dude, I need O&E to call me, like, today.
Yeah,
right?
That's all they had.
Joe Scarborough, that's all they had in there. He's got a completely different financial situation. I don't understand why everybody's this upset about it. And I don't think people are this upset. I think what's happening is, they for 10 years have been hunting us over every last opinion we have ever had. Watch now as we adopt your methods and make you absolutely hate them. I think that's what's happening now. I could be wrong about that. I am not all that offended by what Kyle Gass said. As a matter of fact, that's exactly what I expect from Kyle Gass. That's exactly what I think he and Jack Black think. Tonight, this in Australia, and then this happened from the stage.
Donald Trump next time.
And so people have lost their minds. I believe, wasn't it the government of Australia threatened to, like, rip up their passports and everything and deport them and get them the hell out of here and all of that? That seems excessive to me. Jack Black and Kyle Gass have both apologized now, by the way. Oh, by the way, the tour is canceled. Like, they're done. Kyle Gass on Instagram said, the line I improvised on stage Sunday night in Sydney was highly inappropriate, dangerous, and a terrible mistake. I don't condone violence of any kind in any form against anyone. What happened was a tragedy, and I'm incredibly sorry for my severe lack of judgment. I profoundly apologize to those I've let down and truly regret any pain I've caused. All right. So I bet what happened here is this. Hey, Kyle, so technically, well, they didn't miss him. And then beyond that, technically, if they missed him, somebody else died, Holmes. Like, maybe we don't say this. Okay? It's possible that while performing with Tenacious D, he had forgotten and has said this. I don't think it's the best thing you can say. I'm not big into wishing death on someone. You know what it is for me? This is going to sound worse to a lot of you, I bet. I can't wish And part of the reason is because I'm not actually wishing death. Like, you know when you fight with, like, your spouse and you think to yourself, oh, God, I just wish a bus would hit this idiot. You know what I mean? Like that. Like, oh, my God, when are you going to... Like, not, you know what I mean? Like, not, I don't actually wish death on people. That's just not my thing. Now, I've got a harsh sense of humor, and I've said plenty of off-color and, unpopular and maybe problematic things. And as a communicator by trade who's going to step in it occasionally, either on purpose or by accident, I don't know if I really want to be the dog catcher of this. You know what I mean? Also, I'm willing to bet they told Kyle Gass, buddy, somebody is going to go out there in the name of Tenacious D because somebody is crazy. And what you don't want is this circling back on you in that manner. And so here comes the apology. I think Kyle Gass kind of means it. Well, here's what it means. I don't need the guy to die, but if he doesn't run or if it's impossible for him to win the election, I wouldn't necessarily hate that. I think that's what Kyle Gass thinks. I know that's what Jack Black thinks. He was literally in an American... He has been anti-Trump for a while. Okay. Some would say it is the most important thing you could do. I don't know about most important, but okay, I could understand. Take part in the Kyle Gass apology. I think they're less worried about the fact that the tour is being canceled. They're gonna get back together at some point. They're gonna be on the road. I'll tell you another thing I was shocked by is Kyle was dropped by his representation. Shocked by that. I really was. I expected a little bit more of, look, it's art and entertainment. We have dealt with plenty of people throughout our careers in representation. Like, look, we don't agree or align with everything Kyle says. He realizes that. And here's what Kyle thinks. I expected a little bit of that. Dropped by your representation? Kyle Gass just got smacked in the face with that. Because you know what he realizes now, right? Oh my God, I really am just the fat idiot who's been riding Jack Black's coattails for 15, 20 years. What I'm saying here is that the moment somebody's in trouble, that's it, I'm out, never again. They're fine. They're fine. Will it affect this tour? Well, yeah, it already has. But ultimately, Jack Black is going to be just fine. He did not say, pick up a gun and go do this. There I'd have a problem. Making an off-the-cuff remark about something, it's not great. Not great. Not everything I have said in this room is great. And I would hate it if it was like, oh, that's it, no more. But when you have spent the better part of a decade hunting people down, getting them fired from cashier jobs for something that they posted, don't be surprised when your enemies pick up your habits, your tactics, and then use them on you. We all got bills to pay. We're going to help you with it a touch. Your $1,000 Rock the Bank keyword 9 a.m. this morning. What we had been talking about is Jack Black, Kyle Gass, Tenacious D. They were on stage Sunday night in Sydney, Australia. Tenacious D said, make a wish, Kyle. And he said, don't miss Trump next time. And Jack Black says, I was blindsided by that. He thinks of off the cuff, as you have been writing partners for, I don't know, 30-some years. You start to be able to finish other people's sentences at that point. Trust me, I've worked very closely in creative environments with other people. It's kind of how that goes. But that's fine. I understand how apologies go. I understand it. I don't think they're apologizing because I don't think they really believe what they said is that wrong. I think they're trying to quiet down the storm and welcome to it. This is what happens, right? You have the right to say anything, and people have the right to get upset about it. It's not, nobody's canceling Tenacious D, by the way. They're holding them accountable. It's accountability culture. It's not cancel culture. It's accountability culture. I learned that phrase plenty of times over the last 10 years, because quit crying about canceling. It's just people holding them accountable. People are just holding Jack Black accountable. Now, are they doing it because they actually hate what he said? No. They don't love what he said. But they feel like they've been hunted, some people do, for every opinion they've ever had. And now they're like, oh, look, it works. Let's use their tactics. Oh, don't get me wrong. Every other show you listen to, every other television show, they're all going to try to make it really, really hard. It ain't. It's pretty easy. Most things are pretty simple. We go out of our way to had sent this in. Stansbury, does he have the right to say it? Yes. Is he a jerk for saying it? Probably. Is he a sissy for backtracking and not owning up to the repercussions of his opinions? Absolutely, he says. I think it's about the fact that somebody else lost their life in the attempt to shoot the former president. And somebody had reminded Kyle of that. Like, bro, like, somebody got hit, man. Like, somebody died. How I feel about politics and of this incident. That can happen. It's happened to me in here. It's probably happened to all of us while having a conversation. He was on a stage and it's a performance. I don't really have a problem with the fact that he said it. I view it very different than somebody go shoot the president or former president in this case. That's different. Inciting a riot is a thing. Going out and doing stuff.